Hello, hello, my friend, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you, and I'm also very grateful. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for the opportunity and for this platform that connect us to each other, that can give us, ways to communicate, ways to exchange ideas, and ways to help each other be more encouraged. And happy Monday, my friend. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Let me know how your day is going. How was your weekend? How your week is projected ahead. I hope you have a good, great energy. Let's win. Let's have some fun this week, and also, find the ways to feel empowered today. And I'm just happy to do that with you today. My name is Jana Masik, and I'm the host of this LinkedIn Live broadcast, Powering Unique You. It's all about creating encouraging conversations, bring you some value, help you feel to be a superhero. So let's be superheroes. We all have gifts. We all have amazing abilities, unique abilities. We can embrace them and also love ourselves and share them with others. Well, today, I'm so thrilled. I've actually snatched this guest somehow, miraculously. Last week I was on his show. This week he's on my show, and it was just a very short conversation. We make it happen. So this amazing guest is very well known on LinkedIn. He is helping people to land the best jobs, and he's actually a CEO of ClearPath Wealth Strategies. He's specializing in handling 401k rollovers. So helping job seekers get noticed, create opportunities, and regain their primary source of income. And let's face, we've had crazy year, right, of unemployment, and we still have a lot of people that are looking. If you're one of those, if you're looking, this is definitely the show for you. If you're not looking, this is definitely the show for you. We're going to have a lot of insights for anyone, I think, that want to up their game and find a way how to stand out. So also this guest is having his own show that he ran for quite some time. He's almost on 300 episodes. It's called Who Ya Know. And he's using networking strategies to build a community of leaders, empowering job seekers, entrepreneurs, and business owners to follow their passion and embrace being uncomfortable. It's so hard, isn't it? Tell me. How hard is it for you to be uncomfortable? How hard is it to get yourself out of comfort zone and do something that you're not quite great at, and you're gonna have to stretch? So he helps you to do like this. I think he can help us today to stretch a little bit and get more uncomfortable. He also got recognized by Forbes as a job Search Trojan Horse, and his strategy to help job seekers infiltrate the hiring process and close the deal. Well, without further ado, I want to bring on amazing Trevor Houston. Trevor!
Hey! Yeah. How are you? It's like we just we're just here yesterday, the other day on my show. Now I'm on your show. This is awesome, man. I appreciate you having me here today. Uh-oh, you're muted. I can't hear you anymore.
Here is my mic problems here, but I said I have to get this gentleman on my show. How to do that? I'll get on his show and then I'll invite him. See, it works.
Yes. Hey, it's called networking. That's what that is.
It's called networking. I absolutely agree with you. So we have Francine joining in. Hi, Francine. Happy Monday. Stopping by, say hello from St. Louis. So good to see you. Hang around with us a little bit. We're going to have a great conversation today. As you're coming in, let us know where you're coming. Please be a part of this. This is all for you, my friends. I know I have some selfish reasons in this conversation. I'd like to pick some things and get to know what Trevor has in his mind and in his experience, but mainly it is for you, my friends. So Trevor, Who Ya Know show is dominating on the job-seeking market. And I believe you really built a great foundation, a great, I'd say, platform to also find a way to influence the community in a very energetic, positive, powerful, faith-based way. I absolutely admire what you do, and I would love to hear some behind the scenes. It's almost 300 episodes out there, right?
Yep.
I want to hear some behind the scenes, please. How did it all started? Your story, why, how, who influenced you? Give us some nuggets and some experience looking back behind the years.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's we're going into, we're in our 4th year, and like you said, almost 300 episodes, and it all started just from networking. I'm in the financial services world, and we were doing some networking. I went to a local church. Somebody told me, they were like, "Hey, you need to go to this place because there's people there that'll need your services." So originally, in the very beginning, is for business purposes, right? Because they told me, "Hey, these people will need you. They need people to someone to help them with the 401k rollovers, stuff like that." So I go to this place, and I go to this church, and I walk in the church, and it's a job networking group, and I'm like, "What is going on in here?" So I we walk in, and there's this big church filled with people, and I walk in, and it was like people were really hurting. Like, you could see just I don't know, people were really down and out. They were depressed. They were scared. They had anxiety, fear, pain. And I don't know, I had a heart for it. I just really felt for these people. And I knew when I walked in, it's like, okay, all right, I have to rethink why I'm even here. Like, I had to totally rethink that. Because I couldn't go in there and just start, soliciting people and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just gross.
Yeah.
I would get kicked out of there, and I wouldn't feel good about it. And so, anyways, I went in there, and I just felt my heart went out for these people. And so I was like, let me see how we can actually help. What's going on? Let me be a fly on the wall. Let me figure out what's going on in this room. What are people actually what are their challenges? And we figured out that when people were landing jobs, it wasn't what they knew, it was who they knew. They were networking, right? They were 9 times out of 10, it wasn't, just applying online. It was somebody in their network passing that resume along.
Yes.
And that's where the light bulb went off, right? I was like, bing. Oh, okay. So that's what people are doing. They're networking to get jobs. Okay. And I'm like, so I'm a professional networker. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, I can help with that. I can connect some people. I can put some things together. And so I started to build my network to support them. Right. I went on LinkedIn, and I started connecting with recruiters and hiring managers, career coaches, subject matter experts, anybody that could help them. I couldn't help them. Like for me, I was not an expert. I was not a resume expert. I wasn't a career coach or a recruiter or hiring or anything like that. I couldn't help them directly. And I love, actually, it's funny we're talking about this because so many people are like, well, I don't know how to help. I didn't know how to help either, but but networking, you can help if you just put the pieces together. Just put the pieces together,
I agree. This is really great stuff. And I admire your heart for people. I admire your heart for being, having this desire, longing to help. And it's really, I feel anybody can step up and become that connector piece. And I've seen, working for 4 years in the corporate recruiting globally, I've seen that a lot of good jobs, there's not that they're bad jobs, but a lot of higher paid jobs, majority we haven't even posted. Some of them, they were posted, but majority of them were filled through the referrals, through someone who comes say, I really like this, I really like this lady, I really like this gentleman, come and look at it. And companies, I know many companies actually promote and give
referral
bonus to the employees to bring good people in the company, because employees also know, the managers and executives also know that if I have a good employee and they know someone, they're probably not going to bring somebody like a bad rotten apple into the company, because they're going to have to work there. And if that apple is rotten, that's going to be a reflection on them.
Exactly.
So I absolutely agree with what you're saying. So that was the start. So what really prompted you? How did you figure out how to work it out?
Yeah,
connect
so
the
things
dots.
have really developed since then. I mean, that was years ago. And again, I started to build my network to support them. And so I connected with all these recruiters and stuff like that. And I would go sit down with coffee. Like I would go have coffee, like old school networking with a recruiter. And I'd sit down across the table and I'm like, hey, I got this group over here. I'm trying to help. I want to invite you to the group and stuff like that. And I was just networking. And then one day I'd been watching and following this guy. He was in the mortgage industry, right? And I've been following him, and he had a radio show, and I was following him, and I was always like, you know what? I would love to do that. And then one day I got invited to go onto a radio show because of the work that I was doing. I was getting recognized for it. And so I got invited to go on, and that's when I got the bug for it because I'd already been following this guy. I was like, man, that's really cool. I love how I can, like, he's so visible. I could see him all the time. It was awesome. And then I got invited to go onto a show, and I was like, ooh, I got to do this. We have to create a show. So we created the Who You Know job networking show, and that was almost 4 years ago. And yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
I mean, our first episode, crash and burn, right? Like it was awesome. It was the best thing because, like, you know, the first time you do anything, you suck at it. So our first episode was awful. It was so much fun though. Like I look back and I'm like, that is the best episode. Like I got in a fight with our guest, like not a fist fight, but like me and our guest were like clashing. It was just like, it was awful. But it's so fun. But you look at the progress and you look at where things are now, and it's just amazing. But everything that we do is just, it's about serving. It's like, how can we serve these job seekers? How can we bring them more value? How can we get them closer to where they need to be? And the more we pour out on these job seekers, just good things happen. We get elevated. I think that in life, you've probably heard that you reap what you sow. And if you sow a good seed, you're going to reap a good harvest. And so we're just out there. It's a ministry for us. We're giving back to our community. And it's just been awesome. It's been an amazing journey. It's been so much fun.
I love it. And it really inspirational in the way that, you know, a lot of people, they think, oh, I'm going to start a podcast, or I'm going to, you know, get on the videos to get famous, or to bring more business, or to, you know, find more opportunities for myself, which is okay. Yet I agree with you that when you come from a place of service, whether you are trying to run the business, whether you are finding a way to help others, or you are looking for even a job, you know, and looking for opportunities, when you come from a place of service, how can I serve? How can I add value? It is magic. It's something magical happens where people sense that internally, like intuition tell you that there is something different about that person's intention. And that can really help you stand out. And that's the topic of our conversation today, how to stand out. So was it scary for you in the beginning to dive into this unknown territory and really kind of stand out in a way? To say, oh, let me do something different, something new.
Yes, it was scary. I have a very large fear of public speaking, and I actually overcame that. But terrifying, crippling fear of public speaking. What's interesting about this is, like, my background, I actually came from automotive sales, and was actually a top producer there. And I'm very, very good one-on-one with people, right?
Yes.
I'm very, very good one-on-one. Like just having a conversation like this all day long. As soon as you put me in front of a crowd or a bunch of people or whatever, right? Like just terrifying, crippling. But I had to overcome that, and I had to push myself into positions to be afraid, and like actually overcome it. So I tell people all the time, whatever your fears are, like go attack them, go get in front of them over and over and over. And what happens is you start to build confidence, because once you're done with it, you realize, well, you're not dead, you're still alive, right? Like I would put myself in positions to get terrified.
Yes.
And then when I was done with it, I'm like, oh, whew, I'm alive. Like I'm not dead. This is awesome. And you start to build muscle. it's just like working out. It's just like fitness, anything else. You start off, you're doing 10 pounds, and then next thing you know, you're doing 15. Next thing you know, you're doing 20. Same thing. When I was speaking, it was like 10 people, 50 people, 100 people. You know what I'm saying? And you just grow. You stretch your comfort zone. You stretch it. You make it larger and larger and larger. And so, yeah, our first episode, terrified, right? Like, it's just so scary. But now I do it with my eyes closed, and,
Yes, I agree. I think any new territories, I agree with you. Looking at my own experience as well, like I could see that it was just very uncomfortable. Anything that you try new where you feel you're amateur, you really don't know what you're doing, you're kind of trying to test the waters, you hope it's not a sinking place, where it's going to toss you down. But then also, if you step out and become, that I would say, grab that courage from within to say, I'm going to do uncomfortable things to stand out. I am going to push myself beyond my fears. I'm going to, find a way to differentiate myself from the crowd. Something's interesting happening. I think you become, it actually, the courage is becoming attractive to other people, because most of the people, they stay and remain in their little buckets, in their little comfort zone, and they're just looking out. And then when somebody jumps off, everybody's like, whoa, how did you do that, right? How did you manage to do that? So maybe some practical tips for job seekers or people who want to, get to the next level, to become more visible, to stand out in a crowd. What would be your practical tips?
So practical tips would be, whatever your fear is, make sure you just go ahead and attack it, head first. You need to lean into it. Okay. Get uncomfortable, push yourself. And it's like this. When I'm afraid to get on roller coasters. I actually love roller coasters, but they're scary, right? Roller coasters are scary. And I remember when I was a kid, like, I had to force myself to get on this thing because they're scary, right? So what did I do? I had to just get in the line. Just get in the line. Take the first step. Get in line. If there's something that's like terrifying to you, but if you overcome it, it will be to your benefit. Okay. You're like, if I do this, this will change my life. This is going to be a benefit to me, but I'm scared of it. Okay. Well, what's the first step? What's the first little small step? Take it. Go ahead and take that first step. Get in line, right? Like I did at the roller coaster. You just get in line. Once you're in line, right? So it's like, okay, if I know that something's scared, like public speaking, for instance, go sign up for something. Maybe go take, what is it?
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, right?
Yep.
Get involved, right? Take that first step, and that will help you to take the second step and the third step. It's like going to the gym. I talked about this earlier. Like,
yes,
the hardest part is just getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you're there, once you're in the gym, you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. Why was I, but like getting up out of bed and like getting there, that's the hardest part.
The hardest part, I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And then keeping up the momentum is also, I feel, requires somewhat of a persistence, because things going to come your way and you're going to get tempted to just drop it. Like, again, coming to the exercise, you'll just say, oh, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. So that persistence. To make,
and consistency.
Yep.
We've been consistent with the show, right? Every week for almost 4 years now, every single week. And it's been consistent, and we've been consistently growing, which has been awesome. But I will also say there is a point, and this may be a little controversial because people don't like to quit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They don't like quitters and all that kind of stuff. And you hear all this stuff, but Mr. Wonderful, if you guys watch the Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful says this: if it's not working, you need to figure out, like, there's a timeline when it's not working for you, that you need to take it behind the barn and shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it to bed. Don't waste time. If something isn't working, you need to be able to identify that quickly. And
Yes.
so a lot of people are like, but you got to be consistent, right? And I agree with that. Consistency is key. But also understand sometimes it's just not going to work out. And if you just sit there and you waste a ton of time on something that's not going to work out, like I'll give you an example. So we were doing Clubhouse, right? And I'm part of the group, Breakfast with Champions.
Yes.
And that group is from day one. It was a smash hit. It's been an amazing.
Fire.
Yeah, it's on fire.
Yes.
We just had 100 episodes in there, and I'm a member of that group, and so it's been great. Well, I decided, I'm like, all right, well, cool. I'm gonna branch out. I'm gonna do lunch with champions. We're gonna do the same thing, just a different time. We're gonna lunch with champions. Well, I did that for 12 weeks, and it just never took off. I don't know if it was the time of day or for whatever it was. It just didn't work after 12 weeks. And so I'm like, you know what? It's been 12 weeks. I was consistent for 12 weeks. It just the results were never there. It's like, okay, you know what? Put that to bed. You know, I tried to figure out what the problem.
Must be hard. It must be hard, right? In a way, I can relate to that because I feel there is this is something that is you gotta have to deal inside, and there might be a piece of pride or attachment to what you create sometimes, and you feel like I've also met with some people that they've had a business idea and they created training, they created a website, they created you know, all sorts of things around that business idea, and they go and they almost pull people and try to convince people to come and buy from them, and people are like, you know, we don't want it. We don't want to invest in it.
Right.
But then the person's been working at it for a year and over and still doesn't want to drop that idea. So it can be, it can apply in different areas, whether you are, you know, in business or in jobs. And you really got to have to humble and maybe sometimes talk to somebody and reevaluate, right? Does it make sense for you to push forward with that? Or maybe there's a time to go behind the barn
and shoot it. Yeah, put it behind the barn and shoot it. And it was tough for me to make that call. But you know what? Here's what it was doing. It was stressing the heck out of me because I literally for 12 weeks, I mean, I did work a lot on it. I had all kinds of stuff I created and assets and all kinds of stuff I was putting together to really make this thing work. And I'm the type of guy that it will consume me. I will try to figure things out. I'll tweak things, try to make changes, try to adjust this. How can we add more value? Like for 12 weeks, I was doing that. And you know what it was? It was just big weight on my shoulders. And when I finally, it was stressing me out. Really, it was. It was stressing me out so much because it wasn't working. And at the end of that 12 weeks, I just had to make that decision. And as soon as I made that call and I told I had like 20 other people that were doing this with me. And I had said, hey guys, it's been 12 weeks. It hasn't worked out. Got to put it to bed. That weight just went, and I felt like, oh my gosh, I can breathe again. I can relax. Like it was awesome. It was a weight lifted off by quitting.
Yes. Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's important lesson. And actually, you speak to me about a certain thing that I've been contemplating and thinking and considering for some time. But yes, I think it is important to evaluate. It's important to push and pursue and be persistent. Yet it is important also to evaluate, does it serve you? Does it really bring you joy? Sometimes we get entangled with things that really, like you said, drown us down, strip our energy down,
100%.
Take our joy away. And I feel it's a signal, right? That maybe that thing is really become more toxic to you than, you know, and you keep pursuing and pushing for that. So yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah. For the first time, like I was getting beat down because I always thought more. The more value I can add, the more programs I can add, the more. And literally I've been doing that. I've just been, and recently, just this year, I noticed that things were going backwards as far as, you know, attendance and just like showing up and like all these different metrics were going backwards. And I'm like, how is this possible? We're doing more. Like we're adding more and more and more and more and more. Yes. How are we going backwards? How is that possible? It wasn't until I had a guy come on the show and he was talking about it, and he was like, you're drained. Your energy is because you're doing so much more. And a light bulb clicked. I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. Let's go back to basics. What was the things that were working extremely well for us in the beginning that we've kind of like went away from?
Yes.
Like we're still doing them, but we're not doing them as well. We're not doing them as good because we got our attentions over here trying to build something else and trying to do more.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm drained and I'm like, beat down. And so again, by putting those things to bed and by just, releasing myself actually to go back and focus on what, where I am good at. Anyway, so it's one of those things that just interesting.
Yes, I love this. I love how we segued into this because I feel related to the job seekers and the job work and the people that are in the corporate jobs.
Oh yeah.
You could glean so much from this advice, and I could share a little bit of my experience with that, because I have always had a drive for high performance. I always wanted to be on the A game. I always wanted to get the best customer review, the best reports about everything. So very driven professionally wise. And then I have different projects that I was working or thinking on or, considering on the side and getting involved with also out of place of service. And what I found is over time, I was reaching the burnout, very similar experience to yours, where I felt that everything started falling apart, everything started crumbling. Everything is like my performance at work starts suffering. My home life, the level of my engagement with my family, with my kids really lowered down. And I was at the point where I was just in tears. I didn't know what to do. So I was torn apart and I had to hire a coach and actually go through figuring out what really happening. And what really happening is that I somehow unconsciously overfilled my plate by so many commitments internally.
Yes.
And really got completely out of focus of what is important. And because there were so many things tangling that I wanted to hold on to, our energy is finite. We only have so much. We wake up with the bucket, right, of the energy. And that's the energy God gave us to spend for the day. And if we are not mindful, if we are just pouring that energy, everywhere. I like that example I've heard somewhere. When the fire is going on, your house is on fire, and you come and you just sprinkle your hose here, sprinkle your hose there, you're going to get your house burned down. You're going to really focus on what is in front of you, what is the most value. And really from that experience, what helped me to realize is I got to start focusing on my health. If I am not pouring into myself, I can't serve no one. So I'm going to start focusing on my health. I'm going to start focusing on my well-being. I got to have to bring some paycheck home. So I got to start focusing on my job. And then I'm going to start focusing on my family. And I have to put 2 or 3 projects that I really was passionate about just on the shelf. I may not cancel them. I'm just going to put them on the shelf until a better time. Yeah. And that was a lot of inner work to do. But, over a period of half a year, I just have to kind of unpeel all of these layers. And what you're saying is so important, because sometimes we get so consumed with projects that we believe are valuable, then it can drain our energy very easily. 100%. And we become unfocused on the things that really matter.
100%. That's exactly I couldn't have said it better. You said it the best. We only got so much energy, and energy in, energy out. What are the things that you're spending that's energy out? What are the things that's energy in? And for me, I had way too much energy out, not enough energy in.
Yeah.
And so I had to cut some things out. And I think for the job seekers that are out there, if you're watching right now, you're tuning in, you got a lot of energy out. You're having to learn a bunch of new things that you haven't had to do, right? In years, maybe you've never had to do it. Like a lot of people that I work with, they were working at a company for 25, 30 years. Now they're senior level executives. They're getting let go. They've never had to search for a job before.
Yep.
And even if you had to search for a job before, it's probably been some time. It's changed. Everything's changed. So it's all new for you. You're coming into it. You're having to learn, LinkedIn and resumes and interviewing skills and like all this stuff. And it's a lot of energy out because you're trying to do it all on your own, right? You need to get somebody that can help you, right? And come alongside you and encourage you through the process, because it's going to be a dark time. This is a journey, and it's going to be a tough one. It's a tough one for most people. So you need somebody to come alongside you, hold you accountable, someone to lift you up when you're feeling down, when you get depressed. We've lost job seekers who have committed suicide and things like that. Look, you need people to come alongside you and to let you know you're not alone.
To pour some fuel into, you got to pour it in yourself, but you got to also surround yourself with people that's going to pour into you. And I agree with you. In addition to that, I feel there's so much energy goes out to anxiety, to the things that are unknown, because when we're in an unknown situation, we don't have control over things, which it just drains us. And then to the point that you do not know how it's all going to work out. So there's just so many internal factors that, fears, anxieties, unworthiness, especially when you let go. You've been let go, by the company you worked for. I do not know whether it's 15 years or 5 years, doesn't really matter. There is that sense of, I'm unworthy or something's wrong with me.
I know, exactly. Yep. That's the worst. Like, so fear, number one, fear is the enemy. All right. The enemy came here to lie, kill, and destroy. Okay. Lie, kill, and destroy. And he wants to use fear as a way of doing that to you in your job search, right? He wants to keep you afraid. I remember so when I left the auto industry and I got into financial services, so I went from one career to another career, but the career I was getting into was all new, and I had to, it was just different. And I remember sinking, right? I remember I wasn't successful my first year. My first year, I was just absolutely not successful, and I wasn't making any money, and I was drowning. And I remember those fears. I remember thinking I'm a failure. This isn't going to work out. I'm going to lose my house. I remember being really successful in the auto industry.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I'm like, what? Like, I started to doubt myself, and the enemy wants to do that. The enemy wants you to start to doubt yourself, tell yourself why you're not good enough, why you can't do this, why you can't do that. Maybe it was a fluke that you were successful, in your previous, role, that was, you'll never be successful here. And you start to just tear yourself apart. That's the enemy. And I remember getting to a point where I was so scared I'm going to lose everything. That I was like literally crying on the ground, hitting the ground, I remember being paralyzed with fear, literally paralyzed. I remember there were a couple of days where I couldn't get out of bed. I was so scared because I was just paralyzed by it. And then there was one day that it was just enough was enough. Like, not today. Not today, Satan. You ain't gonna mess with me today. I'm fighting back. And you got to get that way sometimes. You've got to fight the enemy back. The enemy is going to try to tear you down, and you can't just sit back and let him do that. You got to fight back, and you got to be bold about it. And that was that day I made a decision. I was like, I'm not going to sit here on the ground today. Not today. I'm getting up, and I'm not going to be afraid. I can't worry about the things that are out of my control. I can only do what I can do. And if I do that, what I've always done my entire life, God will take care of the rest. He will take care of the rest. If I can just do my part, he can move mountains, right? Like, I just need to do my part.
Yes, amen to that.
Yeah. So
that is true. Same thing. You got to get up, and that's the part of standing out, right? Let's admit, most of the people, they're laying on their stomachs and woeing and crying, and I'm the victim, and why it happens to me, and looking for someone to blame. When you get into that mentality, that's that the enemy is just feeding you all this trash, you're gonna have to own your life, your choices, your thoughts. You're gonna have to get up on your feet, to stand out from a crowd that is laying on the floor being victim, and to say, hey, I have God on my side. You know, whether you're a believer or non-believer, God is on your side. Mm-hmm. So you could always say, I have God on my side, and say, I have the power within me to take the ownership of my life, of my choices today. I do not know what tomorrow is going to bring, right? But today you have the power. Today you can make a different choices. Today you could say, I choose to be empowered. I choose to be, to choose joy. I choose to, to feel good about myself, and stop beating yourself up, and
100%.
Don't let the enemy steal your life, your peace, your joy. Own it, and I would say push through, and you'll stand out, and you will get the results you want eventually. It doesn't happen overnight. Usually, things don't happen overnight very often. No. But once you pursue, and you gain that belief that you can do that, things will change.
You said two things. First thing, the whole victim mentality thing. So when I was on the ground crying, screaming, terrified, paralyzed, okay, I didn't have victim mentality when I was doing it, though, right? I was, oh, woe is me, right? I was being a little baby, okay? I was afraid. I was in my own little funk, right? It's okay to be in your own funk. I do tell job seekers this sometimes. Sometimes, okay, let's say you got let go, or let's say you went through, I had a guy, he had 12 rounds of interviews with the same company. 12 rounds of interviews with the same company. It was like a 6-month process. You didn't get the job. Okay.
It must be hard.
Okay.
It must be so hard.
It is okay. I want to give you permission. If you go through something like that, cry. Okay. Get down there and cry. You better scream. You better freak out. Okay. I give you permission. Like lose control for just a moment.
For just a moment. Like, scream out loud. Go behind the barn. Scream out loud. Get that bad energy out.
Get it out of your system.
Get it 100%. Out of yourself. Get it. Don't bury it in your heart.
Yes. No. You gotta. And I'm like, I give you permission. Like, freak out. That's what I was doing. Everything was kind of collapsing around me in that moment, and I was like, I gotta But then what did I do? Is I made a decision to get back up. And I wasn't going to allow, there was no victim mentality. When I got back up, I didn't start speaking out, well, it's not working because this person and that person, and I got a raw deal here, and the training isn't good, and this and that. Like, I didn't start speaking all this like negativity. When I got back up, I said, not today, Satan. I'm going to be the best version of myself. And if I'm the best version of myself every day consistently, he's going to take care of the rest, right? And the best version of yourself, I promise you, is not someone who's just negative and being a victim, right? Like, we got to quit this victim stuff, right? So I love what you said there. And you made a second point, and I lost track of it, but
that's what, yeah, I would say what it comes to my mind is really that saying, and they come in different versions, but what you focus on, you grow. What you focus on, you get more of. What you focus on increases in your life. It's really about your focus. Mm-hmm. And your focus is your mind and your thoughts, what you're allowing your mind to be filled with. And it is such a, I know there is some science, some neurology science and things behind that it is such, our mind likes to go in the loops. Our mind likes to dwell on the things we are, contemplating and thinking about, and they go to the same spot. You got to have the power to shift that focus from, that negativity, from that you're a failure, these lies that are being fed to most of us every day. Let's admit. To shift to say that you are able, you can. Yeah, and you can stand out and really focus on what you want to achieve in your life. Yeah. So if you start focusing on what you want to avoid, I don't like my job, how can I survive? So you start focusing on the things you don't want in your life. These things occupy and grow like mushrooms. It's like you're watering the mushrooms with your thoughts. But if you turn around and start focusing on the things you want, and what I found out, Trevor, that most of us, and if you're listening to that, let me know if you can relate, but most of people, they don't see clearly what exactly they want. They are so consumed by what they don't want and what they don't like, right, that when you ask them, what is that exactly you want? What do you want in your life? What do you want your career to look like? Like, I haven't even given thought to that, you know? Well, so you're going to have to start focusing on what you want in your relationship, in your health, in your job, in your finances. Create that picture and visualize that and think about that and grow that. Grow those beautiful fruit trees instead of mushrooms in your head, and then they will come into reality.
Well, I'll give you an example. So focus and belief. So focus, this is a small example, but it's a true example that I went through when I was back in the auto industry. I remember when I would sell a car, they had a survey that went out afterward, right? And if I got a perfect survey, they would pay me $50. Okay, if I got a perfect survey. If I got a bad survey, they would take $50. Okay, so they would literally dock me $50. So, I remember the first time I got a bad survey, right? And it was like, oh crap, that sucks, right? Because I got $50 taken away, right? That stinks.
That's bad.
I remember a buddy of mine, he got a bad survey, and I remember him just wallowing in that. He did not like it. He was so negative about it, and it was like the end of the world, and it was so unfair. How could they take money from us? I can't believe it was like I didn't have control of it. The customer, lied about this, and everything was victim mentality, and oh my gosh, and this and that and the other. And I remember the first time I got my bad survey, and I was like, dang, this sucks. All right, what am I in control over?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I decided to focus, instead of on the victim side, I decided to focus, what do I have control over? I remember I created a process. From that point on, I'd made a decision. I will never get another bad survey again. And I developed a process to help walk the clients through the survey so that they understood the gravity of it. And I had the highest customer satisfaction index in the entire country. It was crazy. And I got paid so much money from these surveys. I got all this money started coming in because I was getting perfect ones, and I got $50.
That's $50 here, $50 there. Add up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, when you're selling 30 cars a month times 50 plus the other, anyway, it was a lot. It was an income stream that started coming in.
Mm-hmm.
But it was because I got that negative one, I got that bad one, that it forced me to look at how I could fix the problem and how I could create that process. It made me create a process. And that process is what ended up making me tons of money going forward. So you have to look in every negative situation that happens. You have to look for the positive.
Yeah.
You have to. There's a lesson in there.
Yes.
Can you create a process?
Don't miss the lesson.
How can you make sure that never happens again? And how can you turn it to a benefit? And so yeah, focus on what you can control and focus on finding the lessons within the negative situations, because they're in there. I promise you, there's always a lesson.
Oh yeah.
To learn.
They are. Well, this is fantastic. I really love our conversation, Trevor. Keith saying hello. Trevor and John, it's so good that you are joining us, Keith. Trevor, this has been phenomenal. I love how we segued into the territories that I didn't even expect. It was really good conversation.
Yeah.
As we're wrapping it up, maybe some final thoughts and some advice that you give to job seekers or people that are in jobs that are thinking about, maybe I want to go do something different. Maybe I want to go into a different industry or change my career. What are the maybe 2-3 tips that you would like to give to our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, if you're looking to make a transition into a completely different industry, I did it, right? I've done it. But what it takes is don't think it's just going to happen, because it's not. Okay, a lot of people make that mistake. They think, I'm not going to have to put in this much work and this much effort. No, you're going to have to put in that much more, that much extra. It's going to take extra. If you want to make a complete career transition to a different industry, it's going to take some extra effort. And most people don't want to do that. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like, because right now you've got no experience in that other industry. No one's going to hire you if you don't have that experience. They want experience.
Yes.
And so in order to make that transition, you got to go get some experience. So how are you going to do that? Are you going to, volunteer? You're going to work for free? Or you're going to give that time away to get that under your belt, right? You may have to do that. You may have to work both, put in double time.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to do. I mean, it's so funny. People want things, but they also don't want to put in what it takes to get there. So I would say you need to apply yourself. You need to really evaluate what is it going to take to realistically make that transition into a different industry. If it's not worth it for you, if it's not worth the extra time, then don't do it. Stay where you're at. Continue to do what you've been doing, but you won't be happy, right? Do what's going to make you happy at the end of the day. Because look, we only have one life to live, and you spend so much time at work, so much time at work that like you got to do what makes you happy at the end of the day. And money's not always that either.
Yeah, I agree.
Money's not always that. Like, so if people are always trying to go for the most money and stuff like that, and it's like, no, you really need to think about the whole picture.
Yeah.
And really evaluate things. Get a piece of paper out. Do that whole pros and cons. Draw the little line and put your pros and your cons and get, really evaluate this thing because it's serious. It's your life.
Yeah. Don't make harsh, fast decisions. Get some self-awareness. Find somebody. There's a lot of tools out there right now that can help you gain self-awareness, can help you understand really what drives you, understand your values, and then know what you're great at. There's transferable skills that you could apply in a different industry. And then what are the gaps? Where do you need to fill in the gaps? How can you do them? Can you take online courses? Can you connect with someone and learn, volunteer? I love this advice. Trevor, thank you so much for coming in today. It's really been a pleasure having conversation with you. You've shared so much insights and so much of your experience. Really, really enjoyed that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. This is awesome.
All right. See you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Wow, this was really good. I kind of lost track of time. So I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you like this conversation. It added value to you. I do believe it's really good to learn from others. And I want to encourage you, believe in yourself. Don't lay on the floor. You may want to go cry out and scream. Sometimes we do need that. Get in the nature and just say, oh. But then get yourself up. Stand out. And stand out in the crowd is not just, being visible. It's not just, being followed or becoming an influencer. Stand out. It's really believing in yourself, feeling empowered, standing on your feet, knowing that you can create the life you want. You can become the person you want to be, and you can make the change that you want to make in your life. And I think that is powerful, my friend. So I'm so happy to be here with you, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Until then, keep powering unique you. Take care.